Hey guys, what is community and is it different than fellowship?
Do I need to be in a community?
What does it mean to be like-minded?
We're going to talk about all these things next.
We talk about the church, family, theology, and even entertainment. In fact, if it's Christian, we're talking about it. This is the Mike Charleston Show.
All right, welcome to the Mike Charleston Show. I am joined today with Sarah, my wife.
Hello, everybody.
And Chuck Tate over here to the left.
Hello, everybody.
Which I found out, Chuck, today. I'm on one of these chat boards on Facebook with Christian podcasts and all that, and Chuck Tate is on there.
Not me.
And I have a few mutual friends, so I don't know if they've got it confused with you or something like that.
Wow,
but that guy's like a pastor somewhere in another state or something.
Okay.
Wow.
So,
I've never met another Chuck Tate.
How about that? Well,
That's interesting.
maybe you just got your identity stolen.
I
don't know.
By a pastor?
I don't know. Maybe it's more believable. But anyway, today we are going to be talking about community and what that looks like and how to create that community if you don't have any community. Am I saying community too many times? Community.
It's all good.
This is something that we have been trying to do for many, many years.
We have.
Pretty much our whole married life.
Yep. I think I first started liking you when you talked about living in a commune.
A commune.
I was like, oh, wow, that sounds exciting.
Yes, I was back in my Keith Green days. And yeah, we did talk about creating a commune when I was working with Dylan. And no, that didn't work out too well. And we decided that's not a good idea.
Probably not.
But we did want to do community in some sort. We even came up with the Have More plan. And no one joined, and we realized someone with a lot of money needs to do this, with a lot of land, and then no one wanted to do it.
We're still waiting to find that rich person.
That's right. Yeah. But no, so we
did find a whole subdivision for sale last year.
That's right, we did. That's right. So I forget how we stumbled upon that. We were looking for something for Pam and Larry.
Probably so.
And speaking of Pam and Larry, they are still in Virginia, so he is not. He's been disciplined again. He's not on the show again. So anyway, no, but we are going to be talking about community, and this is what really brought this up was I had a fellow call me from Seattle, and he got pushed on from this place, from this ministry to this ministry, these people, and finally landed on me, and I'm a sucker, and so I'm trying to help him out, and I have pretty good contacts throughout the South here. And other places, I guess. And so he's like, do you know of communities that I could join? He's tired of living in Seattle. And
I can imagine that.
Yeah, I can imagine. So he gave me all the things that he's looking for, and it is very specific. So, Mike, if you're listening, sorry, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but it is. He had a very specific thing he was looking for. Unfortunately, he's like, man, you sound like a really cool guy. I'd like to move by you, but it sounds like most of your community is in an hour radius. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. We don't have that many people living that close. We're still shooting for that, and we even have the Grimms living in our backyard. But they plan on moving 45 minutes away. So I don't know exactly where they're planning on living. But anyway, so why don't we go ahead and get right into what we're going to be talking about. So what exactly is community? Now, we'll just go ahead and get into, what the definition was.
Yeah, what is it?
What's the definition? You looked this up, babe. Why don't you give the definition? Because Chuck had a problem with the second one.
Okay, well, I'll say the first one. Okay. You can do the second. So the first one I found was a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common.
I think that's pretty understandable, right? Mm-hmm. We get that. We don't live in a gated community. We live in a neighborhood, so this is the community I live in. And,
right.
But Chuck had a little problem with the second. Why don't you read the second one, Chuck?
All right, so the second one was the definition was a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, values, and goals.
And I was like, well, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I guess the first word there, the second word.
Yeah, I kind of break it down. I look at things, and when I look at that sentence, it's like, so what's the object here? The object is community is a feeling.
A feeling.
And it's not really a feeling. That's
right.
Not
So if they would have changed that as a group of people for the intention of fellowship with others or a result of sharing common attitudes, I think that would have been maybe a little bit more understandable.
The second part of it's fine.
Right.
The sharing of common attitudes, interests, values, goals.
Yeah, we don't just feel like we're part of community. Of course, today with the internet, maybe we do. We just have a feeling that we're part of something bigger than we are. And I think that's the heart of this is that we all want community, right? I think this is the problem that in years gone by, we didn't really have much of a choice. You just grew up where you grew up, and that was your community, really.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a lot of travel. Well, within the last 200 years or so, we have traveled a good bit. And like me, I grew up in Indiana. I'm nowhere near Indiana. I'm in Louisiana now. I'm 1,000 miles from home, and I just got in a car and went. That's all I did. People move around very quickly and fast, and they're from here, they're there, they're living in different places. They're not loyal to one particular place. So, and you add to the problem of our culture, where in years gone by, maybe it was more of a Christian culture. It's not so much of a Christian culture. So then you're surrounded by, in your area, you're surrounded by people who may not have the same goals and interests as you do. And so we're trying to kind of go back and create our own roots and go back and make our own community. So I think we all want community on some level.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if you think back to say 100 years ago, I mean, my grandparents, my wife's parents, even my father-in-law, they grew up in a time before you had the automobile as a normal form of transportation.
Right.
I mean, when they were young, you had a horse, you had a mule, you had a
crazy,
buggy,
right?
But that's we're just 2 generations removed from that to today, where we pick up and travel across the country all the time.
Exactly.
Right.
We don't even think about it.
No.
Like tomorrow.
We think about a little bit about it right now with the prices of gas.
Yes, like tomorrow we're planning on heading to Dallas, and we had to think about it 3 or 4 times because it's a little bit more expensive than it used to be. But yeah, I think we all want this, right? We feel together, but there is a problem with it, I think, and we're going to talk about that here shortly, about the problems with it and the good things about trying to create a community, and it is not so easy. There are pluses and minuses to everything that we have. Yeah. But whether you like it or not, you are part of a community in some way, hopefully.
Well, you should be.
Yes, you should be. Like whether you're part of a church or even in your neighborhood or family, is even some sort of community. If you're all by yourself, then this episode is definitely for you. But there's really hardly anybody out there that is just all by themselves.
Right.
And usually if they are, they want to be that way. So maybe this isn't for them. Anyway, so why don't we get into Psalm 133, verse 1.
It says, "Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity."
And for the sake of this podcast, obviously this is a Christian podcast. We're going to be talking about Christian community. And this is fellowship, and we're going to talk about the differences between Christian fellowship and community in a sense. But we're not just going to be talking about community, just any generic community. We're going to be talking about Christian community. So it is a good thing, and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity. So that unity is a key word for later on, right?
Pretty much. Well, because when we're looking for a community, we all want that unity where we can all live together, or not live together, but live close to each other and be involved in each other's lives and not have problems.
And not have, right. Like Chuck was saying, it takes a village to raise a kid, right?
That's what Hillary said.
That's what Hillary said.
And to be honest, as we've talking about and kind of joking about that earlier, she wasn't completely wrong.
No, not exactly.
We need each other. That's why we're talking about this. We need a community. It's just her idea of a community or a village is different from what our idea is.
Well, that is a good point that you make there, Chuck, because a lot of, especially in our circles and homes, we tend to become more insular and us four and no more, and we think I can do everything. And actually, people are here for each other. We are to be here for one another. Yep. And so community is important. In raising our kids, it's my responsibility. But you do have a part to play. We do have elders. We do have other people in our lives, other kids, other families that partake in this part of bringing up a kid. But it is my responsibility. It's not the village. Yeah. But we say that tongue in cheek. But so anyway, examples of community in Acts.
All right, so we have Acts 2, 44 through 47 says, "And all that believed were together and had all things common, and sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men as every man had need. And they, continuing daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved."
So obviously we should be living in communes.
Yeah, they had everything in common, so nothing is mine, it's all just shared, right?
Well, this was the verse that Dylan and I, we were we would go down to the levee, and if you know anything about Baton Rouge, there was this abandoned building downtown that we were praying that we want this building to house homeless people and make this a commune. This was going to be the headquarters for the ministry and all that. Well, and Hilton, I think, bought it, and now it's the Hilton. So not exactly what happened. But we were influenced by this verse that we should all live together, and we saw, he was a hippie, and we were kind of hippies back then. And that just whatever, man. Let's just all live together. It's not very practical, but this is what they did in Jerusalem for a season. Now, notice how they didn't do it in every church and every place. They were very heavily persecuted. So there might be a time where you join together and live in a commune for a season, that for survival's sake. Yeah. But I don't think this is a prescription.
Right.
No, I don't think so.
This is the problem with Acts is it descriptive or is it prescriptive? And a friend of mine, we're talking about that at work, where there's a lot of things in Acts that necessarily aren't doctrine. It's just history.
It's what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean this should be the way it is all the time. But anyway, so we don't have a lot of communes around. I don't think that's what it's talking about. But the point is they had everything in common. They shared. They were in each other's lives. So there is a sense of community right there. Yep.
Right. Then we have Acts 4:32. And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul. Neither said any of them that aught of the things which he possessed was his own, but they had all things common. So same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. And they had unity of heart. These are important words that we're going to talk about later. So why is it important for us to have community? Why is it important? Okay. So we came up, I don't know how many points we have here. 6 points. We can start numbering them. So number one is what he made us to be one body. Yeah. Right? Just that simple, right? To be one. We are referred to as the body of Christ, right?
Right. So just like a body works together to function, we're supposed to work together also.
Absolutely. Not one person is more important than the other.
Right.
And we function as a body. And how can you do that if you're separated over here by yourself?
Yeah, you can't do it.
No, it's hard. You're not,
you
no
try
man
to do
is
everything on your own. It's just impossible to actually get everything done on your own.
And you wouldn't want to, honestly. It would drive you crazy. As a professor said in Bible college, no man is an island unto himself. And that is so true. I can't do everything. I'm not, so many people get frustrated with church, with society, with Christians, with everyone, that they just withdraw from everything, and that's very dangerous. We really do need each other. So why don't you go ahead and read that verse there, Romans 12, 4-5.
For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we being many are one body in Christ, and everyone members one of another.
Absolutely. Yep, that's good. That's what we just talked about. So, yep. All right, number two, Chuck, what do we got under number two?
So number two, we have growth, which means that we challenge one another to grow in our life and closer to Christ. Now,
here's where the dangers of community come in. So I'll talk about the negative, and maybe you can talk about the positive, Chuck. So the negative part of this is that when we talk about community, we want everybody to look just like us, act just like us. It becomes an echo chamber, where we start saying the same things, and it comes right back to us, and we're preaching to the choir, and we're never challenged at all. We all agree, we never change, we never do anything differently, we never consider any other ideas out there, even if they were good ideas, we don't consider them. And that could be a very dangerous thing. You want to be able to, the body of Christ, there are people that are going to disagree with you.
Yeah, there should be. I mean, if we all had the exact same thoughts and exact same ideas, that would be kind of scary.
And boring.
It would be boring.
It would be. I mean, it would make your life easier, but it would be boring, honestly. Some of the people I talked to lately, it would be nice if they agreed with me, but my life would be boring. So anyway, that's kind of the negative side about not being challenged at all, where there is no real growth there. I remember for a season, we were in a fellowship where it seemed like everybody was just believing the same thing. We're just the same age. We're at the same stage. Like, what's the point? And then some bad stuff happened, and then it was like, okay, that's the point. We need to help each other. We need to help grow each other. So now talk about the positive side.
The positive side of that is every day we have decisions we have to make.
Sure.
And in our lives, those decisions, whether they be small, some of them are going to be more difficult difficult to make, and if we have community, if we have some other folks that have a lot of these same things in common, being able to go and discuss that with them, get their input, help that bring that into our decision making, it brings in safety. Where there's a multitude of counselors, there are safety. So being able to have community to share those thoughts and ideas, and that then in turn helps us to also grow together in Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where the unity of heart comes in, where we don't always have to agree, but we're challenging one another, and the whole point is to point to Christ.
Right.
And which we're talking specifically on spiritual matters. The next one is going to be what, babe? Number 3.
The next one is help.
Help.
So obviously when we go through times of need, but I wanted to go back to the growth one.
Oh, you want to? Okay, you can grow too.
Well, just because for us, this is very practical when it comes to fellowship, like what we have at our house every week. People come, and not everybody, we don't do things the same as everybody that comes.
Sure.
And so people have different ideas of how they live life. And, but actually, it's very beneficial, I know, to the kids, because they'll come to me and we talk about things that we obviously see that we do differently than other families. And so, just this week, Elizabeth came to me and she was like, she actually wanted to know why we wear skirts, because she was talking to one of the little kids and one of the little boys, and he was wondering, how she can do everything with a skirt. And so she's like, so why do we always wear skirts?
Right.
So we got to talk about it, and it's something that we do, but not everybody else does, and that's fine. But it opened up a door for us to be able to talk about why we do what we do.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, and it does help challenge our thinking and confirm it. If I just tell my kids, we just read the King James Bible and that's it, don't question it. Yeah. And then someone comes in our fellowship and we're like, you're not welcome here because you don't use the King James. Well, then no one is ever going to be challenged on that. No one's ever going to do any study on it. No one's going to know why. And then generations go by and you're like, well, I'm a fundamentalist because I believe this, but I don't know why I believe it.
Yeah, if we don't have the children asking why, then how does it even challenge us? I mean, whenever we sit down and study Bible, when we have Bible study later tonight, the expectation is they're going to have questions of what is this and why is it like that? And that's the whole reason we do it.
Yes.
So not only are we able to communicate to them what we believe, but also it challenges us. It's like, I don't know. Let's see if we can figure that out.
Well, what did I say last night? I said, if I can't explain it, then I don't know what I believe about it. You know, and you might have a season where you can't necessarily put it in great term. You're not a very good
articulator.
You can't articulate it very well, just like I did there. You can't articulate it very well, but you can explain it a little bit.
Right.
And or maybe you're out of practice, but you say, give me a week and I can come back.
Right.
But if you have no idea why you believe what you believe, then...
Do you really believe it?
Yes. And if you're never challenged on that. And so being surrounded by people, I'm not saying they have to have far out ideas, and be so bizarre. You do have some limits, but... if you're around unbelievers, even at work, that's a kind of a community of sense. It's not a Christian community, but they're going to challenge you on your lifestyle, on what you believe. And if you're unaware and you don't pay attention and you're not defending it, what you believe, then what good are you? Right. Honestly, that sounds bad. But okay, so go to number 3, help. Okay,
help. Obviously, we all go through hard times where we need people to come and help us.
We forgot. I forgot. Go back to number 2. We didn't do the Bible verse, did we?
Okay.
Proverbs 27:17.
We will get past number 2 at some point.
Okay. Going back to number 2.
Proverbs 27:17 says, "Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend."
Okay, we got the Bible verse in. Okay, now we can go to number 3. It sounds bad, but
we need some help here.
We need some help. Yes.
Yeah. So help. So Galatians 6:2, speaking of help, says, "Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ."
Yeah, bear one another's. How can you do that if you're not able to help? I mean, just on a practical level, if you're living closely like a neighbor, I need to borrow something.
True.
I got something for you. We have friends of ours in Mississippi that live on top of each other, literally.
Yeah,
they got a community right there.
Yeah.
And they're always borrowing stuff, and they're deeply involved in each other's lives, which can be a good thing and a bad thing at times. I don't know. I don't live that. Well, of course, the Grimms live with us.
They're pretty close.
Yep.
But we got, I've got my in-laws next door. We've also got some nephew of mine living nearby too. So we're the same way. It's like, hey, last night we were calling around. Do you have any of this? I need some of this for a recipe. Do you have this?
It comes in handy.
Yeah.
It's a nice help to have. And even recently in our fellowship, we've had some things go down, and we're not a huge fellowship, but the people are coming together to help someone in need. You know, his wife passed away, and he's needing help. So not trying to pat ourselves on the back. This is just what the body of Christ is supposed to do.
That's right.
And I don't want the world to take care of this. So we should step in. And it is a little bit out of our comfort zone, but this is something that we should take pleasure in doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can look at this in Galatians 6:2, and it says, "Bear you one another." That's a command. I mean, that's telling us to do it. It's not an option.
Not
if you feel like it, or if you're around somebody who needs it, it's telling you to do it. So, I mean, if you don't have people around you to where you can help when they have need, you can't fulfill this.
Nope.
Yeah.
So,
got to start looking around.
Yeah.
What burden can I carry? You know, what burden can I look for? Okay, so what's number 4 there, Chuck?
Number 4 is open your eyes to the needs of others.
But that's kind of like what I just ended it with, right?
Yeah, good segue.
All the one another's, right? All the one another's. You do a study on the one another's. There's like 100 verses on one another's. Not 100 one another's, but 100 verses on one another's. So 1 Peter 4:10 says,
"As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God."
So everyone is gifted in some way, you know, and we have abilities and talents, and some of us have more than others. But we are to use that to serve. And it's not supposed to just so I can look good and look how smart I am. It's actually to do something.
Right.
And one of these things are to be a steward of God and distribute and to use it to glorify God. Like we just ended with the other one. You got to look around. Look for needs. If you don't see any needs, you're not looking hard enough.
Right.
Yeah.
There are plenty of needs in the church, in your community, friends, family. If you're like, there are no needs, then you got a really small group because you're just not trying hard enough. You can find something if you really look hard enough.
Absolutely can.
Yeah.
So number 5 is accountability.
Accountability. We got Hebrews 10:23 through 25.
It says, "Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching."
Yeah, this is one of those one another verses, and we love this is on the back of our T-shirts. Not the shindig T-shirts that we have.
Yeah.
This is an important verse that I really like. A lot of people think, oh, this is like going to church verse. Sure. But it's really, what do you do? Let us consider one another. So I got to consider Chuck. Mm-hmm. I got to consider my wife. I've got to consider the young people in our fellowship and the people in our community. What am I got to consider how to provoke one another to love and to good works, so that they don't forsake one another and all these things. So that's accountability right there.
Yes.
I got to consider how I can keep you to be a better father and a better husband and a better Christian in general. And
it's a duty that we have. Whenever we're around folks, we should be able to see where to fit in and where we can actually do that. Everybody has, you said, some gift,
right? And
we should be able to utilize that in a way to exhort other people and provoke them to good works to be able to do those things. It's difficult. In some situations, it may be difficult to do that. It may be difficult to take that from somebody.
Absolutely.
But that's what we're talking about. That's what, if it's done in the spirit of love, it's done in the right format, or if you're asking for it even. Yep. You need people around you who can be able to, and you also need to be that person.
Well, this is a good test of community and church and fellowship and whatever you have surrounding you is how can you take correction? Can you give it? Can you take it? Or are you just going to take your bags and go home? You're going to say, that's it, I'm out of here. I can't take this anymore. I don't like what you're doing. We can't talk it out. We can't discuss it. We can't pray about it. We can't challenge one another anymore. I'm just going to take my ball and go home. And that's a sign of immaturity. And if that's been you in the past, I'm sorry, but we have to be able to, it's not saying that we can't ever separate, but we have to separate on terms that are good, that we know that we're still in good relationship, that we can have talked about the issues, that we have tried whatever we could to make it work. And if at the end of the day it doesn't really work, that we can get together for fellowship or whatever, then so be it. But have we exercised everything? Have we done all the one another's? Have we done all those things? Have we done all these things that we know we're supposed to do? Yeah. So that is a good test. And Look, sometimes we fail. We're not perfect at this. Right. So we're all trying.
Which actually leads directly into number 6, which is it teaches you to work through conflicts.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So why don't you go ahead and read that verse, babe? 1 Corinthians 1:10.
Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment.
This is tough. Mm-hmm. Like we were just talking about finishing off the last one. It doesn't say that we all have to agree perfectly. It just says no divisions. And I know some of you are like, well, how is that even possible? Well, you're probably the problem. No, I'm just saying. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, it's like if you can't understand how we can disagree and still love one another or still be able to fellowship and disagree, that's probably part of the problem, honestly, is that disagreeing doesn't mean I don't love.
That's right.
Disagreeing doesn't mean that we can't be in unity on a lot of the essentials. So even in our small little fellowship, not everybody agrees on dressing, how we dress, how we homeschool, even, how we do different things. Bible versions, we don't necessarily agree on those things. But we agree on Christ. We agree that He is He's God, He's Lord, and we agree on salvation. We agree on all these things that are very, very important, and we agree on love, and that it's whatever we're going to do, we're going to do these things in love, and we're going to try to how do I say this? Take our differences and forbear.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a very good term, forbear.
Right, and I'm gonna show love. I'm going to prefer you over my rightness. Chuck, I'm right, you're wrong. So sorry, but you don't know what you're talking about. I can't do anything to do. No. If I feel like I'm right because I believe what I believe, and you feel like you're right because you believe what you believe, isn't there a place where we can forbear with one another and that we can prefer one another and still be in unity? Absolutely.
Yes.
I think that's the whole point of Corinthians. If you just read the whole book of Corinthians, that's the whole point of it. Yeah. So was there something else you wanted to say on that one?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Did you?
Nope.
Okay, you didn't want to mention Abigail's comment?
Oh, I can mention her comment. She asked what we were talking about.
Don't want to throw Abigail under the bus, sorry.
Well, if you wouldn't have, I was like, afterwards, I was like, what is that? I wonder what that is.
Well, she asked what we were talking about, and I said community, and she was like, that's on my top list. I don't know if it's a number or whatever, but her top list of things when considering a potential spouse.
Which she is available.
Which she...
I just embarrassed her.
Which she feels like is a really big deal, just basically their idea of community and whether or not they think that's important or, if they're fine to just live in the middle of nowhere and they don't think that it's important to be around people on some level. And so she's like, I think that's a really big deal. It is a big deal. That's a good... She's very mature in thinking that way because it's so easy... Now, I think it's It's easier for us older people to start thinking that way. I don't think a lot of young people, they kind of like the idea of people being around until they find their one. And then they're like, now let's go retreat.
Well, yeah.
And then they don't care about the world.
The focus is gone.
That's right.
Or it's very precise.
That's right.
Pretty much.
It's single. It's one. So anyway, that is the 6 benefits or 6 reasons why community is important. It is important. So we're going to take a break. I think Abigail is going to join us maybe, and we're going to do a game. I have no idea what is going on. Something about being a billionaire or something like that. And then we'll come back and talk about creating community where you are.
Thank you for listening. This is the Mike Charleston Show.
All right, we are back. Yep, that was live. So everyone knows what this is. This is time for Game Time with Abigail.
And now it's time for Game Time with Abigail.
All right. I have no idea what we're doing here. So this was a surprise to me at the last second. I just said, are we having a game? And they said, yes. So what is the game, Abigail? Abigail's with us. She's on over here by Chuck. So there's Abigail.
Hello.
We don't have a short clap, so they're going to be clapping for a little bit. But you can talk through the clap.
Okay. So, the game, You want to be a millionaire or want to be a millionaire?
Who wants to
Who
be
wants
a
to
millionaire?
be?
Yeah.
I think we all want to be a millionaire, but
So
can I be a billionaire for this show?
It just goes up to $1 million.
Okay.
Oh.
Do we actually win money?
No. But this is who wants to be a millionaire, not a billionaire,
Okay.
with Bible questions.
You do know.
I am your father.
Thanks for clarifying.
Just making sure she knows. We
All right, and so you guys are going to have to work together to get the correct answer.
have to work together so we can all
Yes.
cheat then. I can see the answers already.
I don't think you can
cheat.
see them from here.
I can see which ones are darkened. Okay.
All right.
I won't look. I won't look at you.
All right, so are you guys ready?
Yes.
Yes.
For the $100 question,
This is easy.
how many times
What is the subject?
The Bible.
the Bible?
Okay. this is-
Anything in the Bible.
Anything in the
Anything.
Bible. Okay.
All right, the $100 question, how many times did Peter deny Jesus?
Well, this one's easy.
Ooh, that's
Ooh,
hard.
options.
Tough.
We should let Chuck answer this one so he can get one right.
Well, can we discuss it on the mic? Can we discuss
Yeah,
it
we can
live?
discuss it.
Sure, and there's options too if you want.
Oh, there's options. Well, we don't need options for this one. It was definitely 3 times, right?
3 times.
Yes.
Yeah, we can go with 3.
Okay, 3 times. Woo! Yes.
All right.
I don't have a cheering one with that. Maybe I could go like this. Larry.
All right, for your $200 question, what food did Jesus eat when he met with his disciples after his resurrection?
Yeah, fish and bread, right? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Fish and bread. Was it bread too? Fish and bread.
Your
We're going to go with fish and bread.
Oh, she's got options. She's,
Oh, we got options.
She wants
I want to
make
hear
sure
the
we have
options.
choices.
Okay, your options are
Cheerios? No.
Doritos.
fish, beef, mutton, or veal.
Oh, so, okay. We didn't have to worry about the bread.
Right?
Yeah, we're going to go with the fish.
Yes.
That is correct. All right, your $300 question.
Oh, 300.
Who was David's best friend?
These are easy.
Well,
I think
So
they're
far,
going to
so
get harder.
They're going to get harder.
Okay, it's
We're gonna go with
Jonathan.
Jonathan, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I want to hear the options, though.
Your options are Abishai,
Nope.
Samuel,
Nope.
Jonathan, or Saul.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah, let's go with Saul.
definitely Jonathan.
All right, your $500 question.
Ooh, 500.
What did Mary do right after the angel appeared to her?
What did Mary do
Yes.
right after?
Yes.
Take a breath?
Options?
Your options. Visited Elizabeth, married Joseph, went to Bethlehem, or went to Jerusalem.
Yeah, she went to
she
go
was-
see her sister. And yeah, we're going to go with A. Yeah, A. Right?
Yes.
Right? Oh, right. Oh, yep, they're going to say yes because you said yes.
Oh, and I do also have to mention you guys have 3
Lifelines.
lifelines.
How are we going to do
Yeah.
the call a friend?
We're just going to do 3 50-50s.
What?
3 50-50s.
3 50-50s.
Well, we can't exactly poll the audience.
Can we call Larry?
Yeah, I want to phone a friend.
All right, your $1,000 question. Who was Joshua the son of?
Oh, that was
I
easy.
know.
How's that a $1,000 question?
Just
Son of
$1,000?
Nun.
He's the son of none. But give us the options.
Nun, David, Jacob, or Caleb?
No.
No, we're going to go with none. Yeah.
Yep,
That was
that's
easy.
correct.
That was easy. I didn't even take the consensus.
All right, your $2,000
Ooh.
question. What did Jephthah promise to sacrifice to God if he allowed him to defeat the Ammonites
This
in
is
battle?
another
The
easy
next
one.
thing that comes through the tent door.
I don't know about tent, but through the gate or whatever.
Yeah.
The first thing that came in.
Right.
They were giving the options.
Your
just
options are his silver and gold,
Ooh, no.
the first thing to greet him when he went home,
Yes.
go.
his crops, or his best sheep.
No, it was.
First thing to greet us.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it was his daughter.
Yes.
All right, your $4,000 question.
We are moving up.
In the book of Daniel, King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream of a statue made of 5 different materials. Which of the following was not one of those materials? Iron, wood, gold, or clay?
It would have been wood, right?
It was wood.
Wood.
Yeah.
That
We're
is-
going to go with wood.
That is correct.
You got to wait for us to. Yeah, okay, we got it.
We're collaborating now.
All right, your $8,000 question.
Oh, this is where it gets tough.
Which book did Paul address to the owner of a runaway slave?
Isn't that Philemon?
Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah,
Philemon, but give us the options.
Your options are War and Peace, Titus, Galatians, or Philemon.
Come on, man. Did it really say? Did you just say War and Peace?
War and Peace was one of the options.
No. What was the next option?
Titus, Galatians, or Philemon.
Yeah, definitely Philemon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I right or am I right or am I right?
All right, now it's 16,000.
Yep, $16,000 question.
Getting closer to $1 million. That's right. They do give you options. I was like, don't you just
Yeah.
answer it? But they do give you
They
options.
give options.
Yeah, we still got 3 50-50s. We're good.
Yeah.
All right.
George Washington.
$16,000 question. Where was Peter living when Jesus called him to follow me?
My first instincts would be Joppa, but
Wow, I thought Joppa too, but
Let's
let me
hear
hear
the
the
options.
options.
Your options are Capernaum, Nazareth, Bethsaida, or Magdala.
Okay.
We were
Well,
both wrong.
Yeah, so give those options again.
Ooh.
Peter was living in.
Capernaum, Nazareth,
Oh,
Bethsaida, or Magdala.
I'm pretty sure it was Capernaum because that's where they all came
I'm
from.
going to go with Capernaum, too.
Yeah, I thought so too. We do have
All right.
50-50, but do we want
I
to
know.
waste it?
I don't know if we want to use
But
it.
if we lose,
If we lose, it's just over.
Nothing. You
so we
lose.
lose.
Right.
Yes,
Good day, sir.
that's what we don't want to happen.
All right, let's go with
What were the
Capernaum.
other options? Let me hear it again.
Capernaum, Nazareth,
No.
Bethsaida, or Magdala.
No, it's got to be Capernaum.
Capernaum.
Let's go with Capernaum.
Yep.
That is correct.
Yes.
Am I right or am I right or am I right?
It's getting a little nervous on that one.
Yeah.
All right, your $32,000 question.
I'm sweating.
What did Saul do which broke God's law and ensured that his descendants would not reign after him?
Who, Saul?
Yes.
Ooh, didn't he like sacrifice in the high places?
Well, here's your options.
Okay, I was just thinking things through first.
He offered the burnt offering to God. He committed adultery. He went into battle without a sacrifice. He became unclean.
He offered the sacrifice.
Well, what was the first one?
He offered the burnt offering to God.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a priest.
Right, exactly.
Right. Is that what it was? What was the third one?
Yeah, say the third and the fourth. Let me hear
The
this.
third is he went into battle without a sacrifice, and the fourth is he became unclean.
But to obey is better than sacrifice. He's the one who sacrificed. To obey is better than
Yeah,
sacrifice.
I think it is the sacrifice, the first one.
First one.
Yeah.
We're going to go with the first one.
That is correct.
Yes. All right. We are moving right along.
All right. Your $64,000 question. Who said to Paul, "Almost thou persuades me to be a Christian"?
Well, that would be Felix.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's Felix. Let's
Yes,
give the.
All right. Your options are Felix, Agrippa, Festus, or Bernice.
Those are all good ones except for Bernice. But I'm pretty sure it was Felix.
Yeah.
He said, "You almost persuaded me," but was that
That's not King
Festus?
Agrippa?
Was it Agrippa?
I know.
Felix was the one that he preached of righteousness, temperance, and judgment to come.
And,
Yeah.
and after he preached that, that's when he said, "You almost persuade me."
Was
right?
it? Was it that same story? Or was it Agrippa where he said,
I'm going with it. I think in Agrippa.
Chuck's throwing a little
All
mud
right,
in the water.
How many more questions do we have?
There's 5 questions left, including this one.
Well, might as well do a 50-50 here. What do you
Yeah,
think?
we'll get Felix in
Can we
Agrippa.
do-
That's what happens on
Yes.
50-50.
You're doing 50-50?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not Felix or Bernice.
Oh.
Good.
I'm going to say George Washington.
So then we want to go with Agrippa,
Well,
right?
I'll go
I'm
with
going to go with
Agrippa.
Agrippa.
That is correct.
Yes.
All right, your $125,000 question.
Feeling rich. Where's the... Oh, yeah, I'm feeling it. All right.
All right. Where is the Dead Sea located?
Ooh, this
in
is
the
where all
earth.
the drive-through history needs to kick in, right?
The Dead Sea.
What are the options?
All right, here are your
Yeah.
options. South of Egypt, to
No.
the west of the desert of Sin,
Yikes.
next to Canaan, or east of Jerusalem.
Not east of Jerusalem, I know
No.
that. The Dead Sea is south of Egypt, you said?
It's not
South of Egypt.
It's not south of Egypt.
Well, sure, it kind of is. It's kind of south.
I thought it was east of
East.
Jerusalem.
Well, Jerusalem, it's not east of Jerusalem. I know that.
Not due
Okay.
east because it's got to go south.
But it's kind of south. What was the other one?
To the west of the desert of Sin,
I
or
don't
next
know
to
where
Canaan.
The Desert of Sin is.
What's next to Canaan?
Next to Canaan.
Next to Canaan.
Next to Canaan. Well,
We should
do-
probably do a
Oh,
like.
Sarah says do a 50-50.
None of us know where the desert of sin is. That's it.
I know.
Yeah,
right?
go ahead, do a 50-50.
All right. It's not to the west of the desert of Sin, and it's not south of Egypt.
Okay.
Next to Canaan.
It's got to be.
It's not east of Jerusalem.
Well, we think about it. The Dead Sea, isn't that what they crossed to get to Canaan? It's got to be next to Canaan.
Next to Canaan.
Let's do that one. You ready? Let's do Canaan. Next to Canaan.
That is incorrect.
I told you because when we studied Ruth, where Bethlehem was, where they were over there, they had the Dead Sea was right to the side.
I
of
need to see a
them.
map. There is no way. There is.
But anyway, okay.
Hey!
There is no way.
Well, it is on the map for Ruth.
Where's my Bible?
Isn't there a mountain east of Jerusalem?
I got a Bible right here. We got a Bible right here. Look at the map here. Here's Jerusalem. I don't have my glasses. What does that say?
That's the Dead Sea.
Okay, where's Jerusalem?
This is Judah right here.
Okay, where's Jerusalem?
Well, that's the thing. Israel is right here.
Where's did it say what,
I
east
don't
of
see-
Jerusalem?
let me see.
East of Jerusalem.
East of
Okay,
Jerusalem.
find Jerusalem. It's closer over here.
I don't
So I'm thinking
see.
it's up here.
Oh, Jerusalem is right there.
That's
So the north end of the Dead Sea is east of Jerusalem. All right.
I just messed up.
What? How much money was that?
That was the $125,000 question.
So you get nothing.
Wow. So how many? Wait, there were
day,
3
sir.
more.
There are 3 more questions.
All right. Well, let's just hear them just for the fun of
Yeah,
it.
these
See if
don't
we would have
count,
gotten.
but
All right. The $250,000 question. The place where Jacob beheld a ladder set up on the earth and the top of it reached to heaven was given what name?
A place. All right. What are the options?
Your options are Luz, En-Gedi, Bethel, or Laruma.
I think it was Bethel. No, it's that Bethel is. Can we do a 50-50?
All right, 50-50. It's your last 50-50.
Hey.
That's
Yeah.
all right. We're good.
All right. It's not Luz and it's not En-Gedi.
Okay, so it's either Bethel or what?
Laruma.
What? The lights just turned out. What happened, Joshua? The lights went out.
We forgot to pay the bill.
All right. So what 2 are left?
The 2 that
Bethel?
are left are Bethel or Laruma.
It's Bethel.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go with Bethel.
That is correct.
Yay.
Am I right or am I right or am I right?
Okay, let's do the last 2. The lights are out. I don't know what happened. It got dark all of a sudden.
The $500,000 question. Which of the following did Jesus do to heal Bartimaeus?
He spit in the mud and put mud in his eyes.
All right, so here's your options. Spit on the ground, put mud on his eyes, told him to wash in the pool of Siloam, or none of the above.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, wow.
Wait a second.
Read the question
This is
again.
Bartimaeus, right?
Then he did see
Yep.
because the first 2 were the same event.
Go ahead. Read them again.
So your options are spit on the ground, put mud on his eyes, told him to wash in the pool of Siloam, or none of the above.
What's the pool of Siloam? Is that the one that gets stirred and all that?
Yeah, that's the.
It wasn't
that's
that
what
one. Then it wasn't none. It was none of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it was none of them.
Yeah.
Isn't
None of them.
Bartimaeus?
No.
That's the Jesus, son of
Yep.
David, have mercy.
So which
Yeah,
one are you guys
nothing.
going with?
Yeah.
That is correct.
All right.
Wow,
yes,
that was
I'm
a
glad.
trick question, huh?
Yeah, I think the one where he spit on the mud was, I don't know if it's, I don't
blind
know if
man.
he's named.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think it
blind
was a
man.
named man.
Blind man with mud in his
All
eye.
right, $1 million
All right, for your
question.
$1 million question.
This is the $1 million question.
Yes.
$1 million.
All right. In the letter to the Colossians, Paul mentions the names of Aristarchus, Mark, and Justus. What did these 3 men have in common? And your options
men.
are, well, that is true, but that's not one of the options.
They lived near Paul.
So they were all Jews, they were all from Ephesus, they were all Gentiles, or they were all from Jerusalem.
Oh,
Okay, say them again.
They were all Jews.
say the names of the people.
Aristarchus, Mark, and Justus.
They were all. I don't think any of them were Jews. Maybe Justice. So what was the options again?
They were all Jews, they were all from Ephesus, they were all Gentiles, or they were all from Jerusalem.
They could be from Ephesus, but
Yeah, it could be.
what was the third one?
They were all Gentiles.
I think they were all Justice might be a Jew. They weren't all-
What book is this?
They weren't all Jews. I know that. Was that the first one?
The first one is they were all Jews.
That's
So
not it.
in the question,
Yeah.
you said this, they were mentioned
then
in
they are all
Colossians.
In the
Gentiles.
letter to the Colossians.
In the letter to the Colossians.
You don't think they're from Ephesus?
I'm leaning more towards Ephesus.
Oh, you just said they were all Gentiles.
No,
But-
I said.
but in Colossians,
were
do you
they,
think-
That's that question. Were they all Gentiles?
In Colossians,
They came
do
from
you think
Ephesus?
he said? Well, of course, maybe it doesn't say.
Okay, we got time here. We got to run. I don't know. We'll just go that they're all Gentile. What did you say, Chuck?
I'm leaning towards Ephesus.
Okay, Chuck says they're from Ephesus. This is for $1 million, Chuck.
That is wrong.
Oh, what about Dad's answer?
What was your answer?
Gentiles.
Gentiles.
That is also wrong.
Okay, I'm gonna go with they're all from Jerusalem.
That was also wrong.
They were all Jews.
They were all
You
Jews.
said you didn't think they were Jews. Apparently,
how could Aristarchus not be a Greek name?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
John Mark and Justus, I could see.
Yeah,
But-
that's why I was going with not Jews because I.
All right. Well, thank you, Abigail, for that. And we will get back. We don't have any emails, so we're not going to do any emails today. But if you do want to email us, please, we'll talk about anything. At this point, you're going to just email us. So, all right. Well, thanks for that, Abigail. And we'll be back talking about community.
Thank you for listening to the Mike Charleston Show.
All right, we are back, and we're going to finish our discussion on community, and specifically how to create community where you are. So if you are in a place right now where it's not really a great community, you're either far out somewhere or you're in the middle of Seattle and you don't have anybody around you that is like-minded. And being in Seattle, that's probably the case. So how do we create community? That is, we have been trying to figure this out for 20 years, right, babe?
Pretty much, yep.
And I don't know if we've been very successful. So I don't know if we should be talking about this.
I think we've actually been very successful. I feel like we have a lot of people around, and I feel like we actually have a good community.
Well, we have. It's just
here.
not within 15 minutes.
Right.
We have a good group of friends and community because of the shindig and because of everything that we've been a part of, that we do have friends all over the place.
Yeah.
But I don't know about locally, like within 15, 20 minutes, we don't really have that.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
all right.
Craig, no offense, but even Craig's moving away. So, all right, so create community where you are. So the term bloom where you are planted, I have heard that before. What does it mean to you, Chuck?
I mean, Kate and Sharon.
That's great. That's Cade's last name. So yeah, bloom. So bloom where you're planted.
So it means wherever you find yourself, wherever you're at today, you should be able to look around you and, in this instance, be able to find people who can fit into a community that you want to be part of. So you should be able, we're going to talk about how you can create that and hopefully be able to do it where you are.
Right. No, I read an article years ago. I think it was Michael Pearl. I'm not sure if it was or wasn't, about bloom where you're planted. It actually was very encouraging because at that time we were desperately looking around for community. We were looking for just people to be around. Our kids needed it. We didn't know anybody within an hour. Just about an hour. The Tates are about an hour. We didn't even know the Bertholots that existed back then. Just everyone that we knew were an hour and beyond, and we're like, we needed community. So let's move up to Tennessee. That's where everybody's moving, right? Mm-hmm. And so we were looking around. You actually spent a weekend visiting Tennessee. So we read this article, and it really hit me. Like, you know what? It's right. We should, where we are now. This is difficult. I'm not saying you shouldn't move. Larry just moved, so I'm not making fun or ripping people that move. There might be that time where you actually have to move.
Yeah, it could be.
But try whatever you can to right where you are. God wants to use you in your community, your local community, right there. There's probably someone there, probably a few people there that you can connect with on some level. There's got to be Christians somewhere.
Yeah.
If you can't find them, win them. If you can't win them, that may be a time to move. It might be a time to go find a community like the guy up in Seattle where he's exhausted everything and he's desperate. And you can come to that place. Now, we weren't completely desperate. We had some church fellowship. We had some people around. And that's about the time where we were like, okay, we got to do something. We started going to all these camps. And then we ended up putting on our own camp. And that does change things. Yeah. So, and I notice a lot of people are putting on camps. My goodness, we might have to stop doing the shindig. There's just so many. There's a camp right the week before. There's a camp 2 weeks before. There's a camp 3 weeks before. So there's a lot of camps going on, which is good.
Yep.
Yes,
which is
it
good.
is good.
People are trying to create more sense of community. So bloom where you're planted.
And it provides the opportunity for people to find one that's closer to them.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the point.
It was difficult for a long time. It was difficult for people that, hey, I got to travel,
10 hours.
10 hours,
Right.
15 hours to get to something.
Yeah.
It's nice to see people actually trying to do it closer.
Yeah, the local gatherings, the local camps are really what was the intention, even though they're smaller in a way. The bigger ones are still fun to go to every once in a while, but actually you have a more of a chance to see these people more often if you have the more local groups, even if they're 3 hours away, like the Scoggins or something, the Markentels and all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the next line there, babe?
It says, where is the line between grace and compromise?
That's right. Where's the line between grace and compromise? What do you mean by this?
Well,
what do we
because
mean
like
by
you're
this?
saying, bloom where you're planted and go with the people that are around, try to make something of that. But how do I know when I should, basically have these people in my life or when I shouldn't? Because, how many things can be different? So we
talked about this a little bit in the 6 things, but this is where we want to kind of pound it home just a little bit more. And that is, you got to relax a little bit, okay? You got to chill just a bit. Sometimes we get so narrow-minded that they have to believe this, they have to believe that, they have to believe this, they have to believe that, and we're missing out on a great blessing where there might be someone that you're missing just because, they might watch TV, or because they wear shorts, or because they use the NIV, or because they use the King James. You don't want to, they sing hymns. You don't want to participate with someone who sings hymns for some odd reason, or they sing modern music, or we have our things that we want to divide over. It's one thing to divide in the world, like we don't have any fellowship with the darkness. We have fellowship with the light. But then when it comes to the light, then we decide we want to separate even there. And there are times where we do want to have convictions, and maybe it's just too much. But if people are believers and they want to get together and they're all right with your convictions, try to make it work. I mean, that's the only suggestion I would have, is that is precious when you have other believers that are zealous for the things of God. And you can tell real quickly. If you want to flee it, get people away from you, just start talking about your love for the Lord and what God has been doing. And if they're true believers, they'll stick around. And if they're kind of flaky, they'll be like, I'm going to go with the other guys where they play Bible baseball on the weekends, and they don't really take things that seriously. So just be yourself. Talk about God and what He means to you, and you'll kind of weed people out there. Of course, you might attract some weirdos too. But I don't know. But that's good. That's fine. So is that what you're getting at between grace and compromise? I know we kind of were talking about that earlier, and you're all right with that? Yeah,
I'm all right with that.
All right. Chuck, do you have anything to say with that?
I just think it's important to reemphasize that, you don't want people who are just like you.
Right.
That doesn't help you grow. No. That doesn't help you learn how to deal with conflicts.
It's comfortable.
It is. Yeah, it's comfortable.
That's right.
And if you're one of those people who only want people who are just like you around them, then you probably need to move to a mountain somewhere and be by yourself.
That's right.
God doesn't call us to be that. He calls us to be light. So we need to be able to have differences, but at the same time, be able to hold our convictions and be able to worship together, be able to fellowship together, be able to study together. And when we differ, we can talk about it. It's okay.
And that's how I've changed throughout the years somewhat, is that I actually listen to people and be like, you know what? You got a good point there. Yeah, I've never really thought about that. You don't know what you don't know. Right? And someone might surprise you, and this is how we grow. You might be needed in their life. You might be an example to them. You just, sometimes we think so highly of ourselves, and we need to humble ourselves a little bit. So anyway, reasons to move, right? So
because sometimes you find that it just isn't working. And like you say, you live out your convictions, and you try to even welcome people into your life, and they just don't connect, and there's been people that have come, for our fellowship, and then they just don't come back.
No,
they might try it a time or two, and it's fine. But so if you're in that place where you don't have fellowship, and it's no matter what you've tried, you don't have that, then
what?
Then what?
Well, so then I came up with this on the fly. Larry was talking to me one day years ago, and I just came up with this. He doesn't know this, but he knows this now. I just made it up as we were talking. And I told him there's only 3 reasons to move. And he's like, oh, really? I said, yeah. And so here's the reasons. And I actually thought about it, and it works. So the 3 things here are for ministry, for family, and for fellowship. And so if you're looking to move, you got to question yourself, why am I moving? Am I moving out for myself so I can be away from everybody, be away from this world? I gotta prepare for the apocalypse, and I got to be by myself. Or you just, here's the good reasons to move. Ministry, is it to be a part of something? Is it a missionary where you're going for a mission? Like there is specific call to this area and we're going to start a church, or there's a ministry already there, but I'm going to be a part of it. That type of thing.
Right. I mean, that's when we came and joined y'all here in the group we have, the community,
Sure.
the fellowship we have together here. That was the reason.
Sure.
I felt like God said this is where He wants us for ministry purposes right now.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. You didn't have to move for that, though.
I didn't have to physically move.
Right.
I had to travel.
You did have to travel, and we appreciate it.
Maybe if you knew what gas prices would become, you might have thought, are you sure?
The other reasons to move is number 2 is family. I think this should be obvious, but back in the day, you usually didn't move away from family to begin with. Usually, family was already there. It was a very odd reason that you would leave your family. And now you didn't live with your family necessarily, like in the same house or whatever, but you lived within the same community.
Right.
But let's just say your mom and dad's not doing well or something else, and you need to move back to help out. There's something going on, or you just want to be closer to your family because you finally made things right with them. There's just other issues that could take place that you would want to move closer to family. That's never a bad reason, I don't think, is to move closer to family. You're already close to family.
I'm very close to
Right?
family.
So you don't need Chuck doesn't need to move for ministry. He doesn't need to move for family. Chuck's never going to move.
So I am close to Jeannie's family, and my dad and my grandmother are close by. My brother's a little farther away,
Sure.
which is difficult because I haven't been intentional about going and seeing him. That's something
Sure.
that's in the back of my mind. But my mom's the same way. She's about an hour and a half away. So
And like not that far, but far
it's
enough
not,
where you can't go see them.
Exactly.
And-
It's not on the way.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
but yeah, family's important.
It is. It is.
we need to be. I need to be a little more intentional in that area.
Yeah. And number 3 is fellowship. And when I mean fellowship, I mean like a church group, whatever you want to call fellowship.
Right.
Now, we'll talk about this in just a second about the difference between fellowship and community. But fellowship is huge. And we like to there's so many people I know that just don't go to church, whatever that means to you. Like, I know what it means to me. But, they don't do anything. And so their sense of community is lacking for sure. Mm-hmm. The fellowship is lacking in their life. So if that is true, either ministry, family, or fellowship is there, and that's what Larry kind of moved for. He wanted to be part of what we're doing here, but he also was like, I already know a lot of the people in your fellowship and in your community, and I like them. And I said that for him. He's not here to speak, so I hope he likes them. But he likes everybody, and he has fellowship with the people already. Yeah. And so hopefully that's going to continue, and that's a good reason to move. And that was our one reason to look into Tennessee. It wasn't necessarily for ministry or for family, but it was just like we need a group of people that we can have fellowship with that look just like us and act just like us. And I'm glad we didn't, honestly, because I think God is using us in a different way than if we would have moved to Tennessee. Yeah. So
what about, would you move for a job?
This is where it gets tricky. I would never ever move for a job. Now, we're talking about moving away from our community. Now, like, say Chuck here, his job is like 45 minutes from his house.
Yeah.
Say he wanted to move a little closer, but he's not moving away from the rest of his community, but he's just moving closer to the job. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like moving to Seattle, for a job, specifically for a job. Should we ever do that? I have a problem with that. Unless it's for a short season, I just, once again, I gave you the reasons why I think you should move. I don't have any Bible for any of this, really. We could pull out Bible verses and I could prove my point biblically, I guess. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be fair. These are things that I think are good reasons to move. And I don't think a job is a good reason. I think you can find a job wherever. I think family, fellowship, and ministry are way more important than a job. Now, maybe job is like, hey, man, we need to live.
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out, that, if it's a scenario where I got no job.
Right.
Right.
And there's something here that if I move, I have one, then maybe that's a possibility. But I'm like,
maybe you're in the country or something.
Right. And you need to move. You have to move closer to a city in order to be able to get a job.
Right.
That I could see. But at the same time, to further try to advance a career, to take a job and somewhere else, that to me, no. It's not the trade-off's not there.
That's a good. It's a good distinction, because even if you had to, like, like say you move way out in the middle of nowhere and you're just like, look, I'm not making it. I need a job. So you're going to move into closer to a city. But by doing that, you're probably opening up your community. Honestly, you'll meet people. Hopefully, you'll get plugged in somewhere, and so I think you'll be fine in that regard.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just a Mikeism right there. I don't feel comfortable with that. Like you said, Chuck, if it's just to keep promoting your career and you're going to move your family away from everybody and go to Boston. Nah, I don't think so. Unless you're already in Boston. But like if I'm down here in Louisiana, I'm not going to be motivated to move to Maine for a job.
No, I wouldn't either.
It's got to be something else there. Is there other people around? So, and these days you can work online, so that's usually not an issue anymore.
What if you could find a place that was drier?
Oh man, it has been raining every day. We live in a rainforest. My goodness. Okay, I think the last point here is like-minded. What is it? Actually, it's not, is it? Nope. Okay, we got to get moving though. Okay, like-minded. What is it?
Well, because a lot of people will say they want to be around like-minded people, and we just throw that term out there, but we keep using that word. What does it mean?
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's the whole point here. So I think we understand that what like-minded means into like today's vernacular is just like we want to kind of, people that kind of believe the same, kind of look alike, all that. So what does like-minded mean, babe?
It means to be of the same mind, agreed together, cherish the same views, be harmonious. That was from Strong's.
I was going to say, where was that from? Okay, that's from Strong's.
So it's not based on lifestyle necessarily, even though...
Now, this is from the Bible, when the Bible term like-minded, right? Not just how we use it today.
Right.
But so the way it's used in the Bible is not based on lifestyle necessarily. Now, this is where we might disagree just a bit, but... It's not based on whether I homeschool or use the King James Bible or dress or watch TV or not watch TV or if I'm a Republican or a Democrat. All those things are going to come into play, though. It's just natural those things are going to come in play. But it is based on the unity of Christ. That's what the Bible talks about, and you're going to read it right here in 1 Peter 3:8.
It says, "Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous." And then Romans 15:5 says, "Now the God of patience and consolation grant you to be like-minded one toward another according to Christ Jesus."
Yes, and so this is where we had an interesting moment where you said, read the context, and I'm reading the context, and I'm like, okay, so everyone shouldn't please himself. They should look to please their neighbor and have the mind of Christ on him. And so being like-minded is giving of yourself. I mean, to me, that seems to be the context, and, that's to simplify it.
Yeah.
And you said, I don't think so.
Well, it is that, but I just, I see it like comparing to... Okay, I saw it comparing to what Jesus did. He didn't please himself, which maybe you would say that's what you were basically saying.
That's what I was saying,
but
right?
I don't know. So, anyway, but so the like-minded, you're right, is based on what we share in Christ.
Yeah, it's based on the mind of Christ.
Right.
We should have Christ. We should have Christ-mindedness in ourselves, and that should be something that draws us to the others that we want to have community with.
Absolutely.
So when we're talking about that, it's going to play out the things Mike talked about. But
and those things are going to be natural. I think you are, like, you take everyone and put a uniform on them, and you put them in a camp, and you set them off, and within a week, like-minded people are going to find each other. The troublemakers find each other. The little conservative girls are going to find each other. The athletes are going to find each other. And it's just natural. The birds of a feather flock together. Yeah. And so it's natural that you're going to be attracted to people that are similar to you and have similar tastes. But it doesn't mean that we don't neglect the other, don't neglect the other people. Right.
That we
want to include. Yeah. Did I just say a double negative?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So we want to include people in that, but it's natural that we're going to be we want to be around people that are somewhat like us. But there is a danger there. The danger is to exclude people, and just have to be aware of that danger. Yeah. That in that process of looking, yes, you want to look for people that are like you, but are people more that have the mind of Christ? And that's what we want to look for more importantly. Do people love Jesus? Are they passionate about doing what God wants. Okay, maybe they use the ESV version, or maybe they use the King James version. Maybe they sing hymns. Maybe they don't sing hymns. Maybe they wear shorts. Maybe they, you can discuss those issues. You can always iron out some of those issues.
But if you have the mind of Christ, if you're focused on the central point to be more like him and to know him, then those things fall. You can discuss those, and you can come to agreements or disagreements, and they're still okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where it comes in touchy, and this is not on the notes, and so this is where we're going off script. We're get in trouble here, so I gotta
baby steps.
Yeah, very carefully here.
Baby steps.
But here's the real problem when it comes to community: is young people. And honestly, this is a very touchy subject, and no one wants to be told that their kids are wrong, messing up, and sin. And you're the reason this is falling apart. Your kids are a problem. No one wants to hear that. And so we get all offended. We take it personally, and we say, that's it. We can't fellowship anymore together. We can't be together because your kids are a disaster, and my kids are holy and pure, and I can't have that influence on my life. And I'm not mocking, like, we got to have a time of separation maybe where, like, look, we can have an open conversation and say, look, one of your kids is not really a good influence. Can you keep them away? Or what can we do here? How can we help instead of excommunicating them, and have nothing to do with them? But I think this is a huge problem in developing community. We get very touchy when it comes to our kids and our wives.
Well,
and husbands,
and we should protect our kids. And if we feel like a family, comes around and we don't feel too comfortable with the direction that it looks like their kids are going, we have every responsibility to keep our kids close, to keep communication with them really open and talk about things that, maybe we're like, we see what they do and we don't think that's right.
Right.
And, so, I mean, we should do that. But
Absolutely.
I get it. It does get really touchy.
Well, and this is where the maturity of the community is tested. Where can we be mature about this and talk about this in a mature way? And let's talk this out. We got to come up with a solution. How can we do this where we can prefer everyone and not just say, I'm out of here, pick up my ball and get out of here? Because most of the time, we can be gracious and forbear, but when you're messing with my kids, that's it. We're out of here, So that was just off the cuff, and so you can write your emails to talk@fellowshipofbelievers.org. Attention, Mike. Okay, so we've talked about like-mindedness. Now, what about fellowship? You were trying to say earlier that there's a difference between community and fellowship, right?
Right. Well, I mean, sometimes we use them kind of interchangeably, but I think they're kind of different.
And they are. They're subtly different. I was trying to say they weren't different, really. Yeah. But in a sense, they are different.
I would agree. I think
you would agree they're different.
I agree they're different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you can't have fellowship without community, but you can probably have a community without real fellowship, or the other way around.
Say that again.
You can have fellowship. You can have community. How did I say it? Can you just play it back, Joshua?
You said you can't have fellowship without community.
Right.
Yeah, I disagree.
I do too.
Well, how can you have fellowship if you don't know people?
Like what I was saying earlier when we were talking about this is that we know of people that are believers like that you know better.
Yeah.
And that you would say you have fellowship with. And I would say in Christ we do have fellowship because 1 John 1:7, if we walk in the light.
But you also said that Evan's not part of your community.
Exactly.
Because you don't have fellowship with him.
No, I do have fellowship with him because in Christ, we have fellowship one with another. It's just he's not really part of my community because community is the people that you actually interact with.
Right. You can have fellowship on a short-term basis with somebody who's not part of your community.
Yes.
Right.
We do that quite often. We'll go somewhere, visit some people, have a good time of fellowship together with them, but they're not actually part of what we're defining as
that's what I was trying to say.
Okay. I think you might have thought the same thing. I just don't think you
because
said
when you have
right.
because we have fellowship one with another. That's
Right.
what 1 John says, which I don't know.
It's right there. 1 John 1:7. But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship one with another, and the blood of Jesus Christ, his son, cleanseth us from all sin.
If we're both in the light, we have fellowship.
Right.
But they may not be part of our community.
Right.
That we are surrounding ourselves with, that are kind of in our core group, or people that we see often.
Right.
There's obviously people that we have known throughout the years that are in our camp that we know, but we don't know them that well. We have fellowship.
Yeah.
We have fellowship around Christ.
For me, the distinction here is that fellowship is an action.
Yep.
A community's not. Community's a group. So the group can have fellowship, but we can have fellowship with someone else as well. But the action fellowship, that's the difference between fellowship and community.
Sure.
In my mind.
Like fellowship has an object. It's Christ. That's what we fellowship around. You can get together around the saints. Now, when I say the saints, I'm not talking about the spiritual saints. We're talking about football saints, right? Down here in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And we could get together and watch a football game, and we have fellowship around saints. Or we can get around at a car show, and we're like, oh, this is fellowship around the cars. Well, when we get together, the point of us getting together is Christ.
Yes.
Like that's what brings us together. That is our fellowship, is Christ. So yes, an action in that this is our object. So I think more of an object, but an action isn't bad. Like I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Like we're doing the one another's. That's part of fellowship, right? So it's all. I don't think either one is wrong. Like I think it's all good, but I think it's still part of like you can't have really community without fellowship. It's just
No, I don't. I agree with you on that
I
one.
agree about that too.
Right.
You can't
That's
have
true.
community without fellowship.
Yeah.
Am I right or am I right or am I right?
That's what you're saying.
Right, babe.
Okay, that's what you're saying. Okay, so we're running a little late here. So in conclusion, we don't belong here.
Right, we don't belong. You had mentioned that we were strangers and pilgrims.
Yes.
And so a lot of people are looking for this perfect community,
Yes.
this utopia. Where
At the end of the day,
Right.
as I always say, at the end of the day, or first and foremost, which one is it? I don't know. But at the end of the day, we're never going to find utopia. We're not going to find the perfect place. The problem is this isn't heaven.
Right.
What we are really looking for is heaven. That's really what we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
And Hebrews 11:13, what does that say?
It says, these all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them and embraced them and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth.
Yeah, they're strangers and pilgrims. And 1 Peter 2:11 says something very similar.
It says, dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul.
Yeah, and I wanted to put that verse in there where it said, who was it? Somewhere in Hebrews where it talks about
Hebrews
him.
11.
Is it the next verse?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
I did put it.
Okay, you did put it in there.
Okay.
Great.
It says,
Okay, so
Hebrews
Hebrews
11, 9 and 10 says, by faith he sojourned in the land of promise, that's Abraham, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God.
Yeah, so I think it's in us to want to find that community, but we're never ever going to find it completely perfect while we're here. There's always going to be problems. There's always going to be issues. It's never going to be a perfect place. So stop finding utopia and try to make the best of what you got.
It's an old phrase that I've heard all my life is, if you ever find the perfect church, don't join it because you'll ruin it.
You'll ruin it.
Yeah.
And that's so true because there's never
There
a
is not a
perfect
perfect
church.
church.
There's not a perfect community. And there's going to be issues, but one day we will be in a perfect city and with the Lord Jesus, and that's what we look for. That's what I'm looking for. I'm keep looking over on the next horizon, like, nope, Tennessee wasn't it. Nope, Indiana surely wasn't it. So why don't we go ahead and recap, Chuck? What do we got here?
All right, so we started off with trying to understand what is community.
We defined what community is.
Then we had 6 reasons why it's important for us to have community.
And you can go back and check those 6 reasons out because I'm not going to tell you right now.
Then we talked about how can you go about creating community where you are.
Bloom where you're planted when we're not talking about Cade.
And then what is like-mindedness mean?
Right.
And
The
what does
difference
fellowship
between-
mean?
Yeah, the difference between like-minded and fellowship. And there is a subtle difference, but they're both necessary. I think they're both necessary.
I think you meant the difference between community and fellowship.
What,
like-minded.
like-minded, yeah, that's true.
But yeah, we talked about all
Thank
of
you.
those things.
I love it when my wife corrects me. So, and then I don't even know what I did wrong. I'm like, what did I say? So that's awesome. So she actually gets one of these.
Am I right or am I right or am I right?
Yeah, she's right. So anyway, all right. So I think that's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening. And if you want to join the conversation, as they say, you can check us out on our website at fellowshipofbelievers.org and or email us at talk@fellowshipofbelievers.org. And we are looking at trying to get hooked up on TikTok and maybe Instagram. I don't know these things very well. Joshua's our man on that. So look for that here shortly. All right. We'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Joshua Charleston, the producer for The Mike Charleston Show. If you enjoy listening to the show, please help us spread the word by liking, subscribing, sharing, leaving a review, or just tell a friend. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you'd like to be a part of the show, please email us at talk@fellowshipofbelievers.org. We look forward to hearing from you.
We hope you enjoyed listening to The Mike Charleston Show. The Mike Charleston Show.